back to Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. If you are watching this real time, it's because you are supporting us through Patreon, and we appreciate that. If you're watching it real time on YouTube, it's because you are a YouTube subscriber, and we thank you for that. Both of you guys should also be linking your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. Amazon will pay us, and it costs you nothing. Follow the instructions in the show description below. And if you are doing none of those things because you're a slug, then Sluggo, I need you to follow me on Twitter at Michael Pachter. You got to follow Shane at Dinfire also, because it's the easiest way to get your questions in here. Today's question from Patreon from Clint Kaknowski, or Kachnowski, probably Kaknowski. How many years, if any, do you think the global chip shortage will add to this generation of consoles? Could it also push back Pro versions of PS5 and Xbox Series, or cause them to be canceled altogether? Is this why we haven't seen a Switch Pro yet? How long do you think PS5 Xbox generation will last? I think the chip shortage kind of corrects itself. It's COVID inspired, and we're not through COVID yet, but everything I'm seeing is that we're getting there. There's something called herd immunity, and the over-under is usually in the 70% of the population vaccinated. We in the U.S. aren't there yet. I think we're in the low 60s, but Japan just passed it. A bunch of developed countries are passing it. China's getting there now. So I think that when you get herd immunity, what's just going to happen is the virus is going to die out, and booster shots will be good enough. The unvaccinated will still get sick, but there are fewer and fewer unvaccinated. And there'll be fewer and fewer people who are carrying because so many people are vaccinated. So ultimately, people are going to go back to work, and life's going to return to normal. I'd say that's less than a year. It's going to happen in the next year. So the global chip shortage should be done in about summer. And if that's right, then let's just call it a full year of disruption, 1.5 years. That probably is the number of years that we add to this generation. As far as pushback Pro versions, you're not going to launch a Pro until you have a certain installed base of the core. I don't know what that number is. I would say 35 million for PlayStation, 40 million. So yeah, pushes it back a year and a half, and same with Xbox, probably pushes it back a year and a half. How long do I think this generation will last? I think we're probably done with consoles. Not to say that they won't try a new one, but I think that the return on processing power is really small. Once you get 4K, 120 frame a second, what are we going to go to? 8K, 240 frame a second? The game's not going to look that much different. I mean, we're at photorealistic looking games right now, and I just don't think it's worth it. You don't get a return on the investment to double or quadruple or quintuple the number of pixels. I just don't see it. I think that while you will get more powerful consoles, I don't think people will feel as compelled to buy them. And, I'd say it's kind of like an NVIDIA graphics card. It's like they're going to always be the super, super hardcore guy who has to have the 3080 card. But the guy who's got two 1080s or whatever is going to be fine because he can do Oculus and it looks great. There will be a guy who's like, I'm sorry, I'm spending $2,000 and getting the latest and greatest. But, not as many people as will buy the more commodity versions. So I think the PlayStation 5 probably has a good end of the decade, 2029, and Xbox probably the same. And I think Microsoft is trying to shift to the cloud. So I think that Kev Master's question from a few episodes ago, when are they going to turn the Xbox into a PC? That's the real solution, is add features and functionality to the console to make it useful in a different context, and have your console be your TV tuner, be your over-the-top internet router, get all your music from it, get all your movies, all your games, all your office productivity, everything in one box. I'm buying it. So I think that you're going to get boxes that do a whole lot of different functions, and we can get rid of all the clutter and we just have one box in the house that does everything, that will be cool. And again, I want to be able to clap my hands and the lights go on and off, and I want to be able to say, Alexa. I have a buddy who actually did this to his house, and he can say, Alexa, turn the lights in the living room on, and they go on. And I'm like, I'm just not patient enough to train. You have to buy the right kind of light switch to do that, and you have to get it installed, and you have to train Alexa. I'm not that guy, but eventually it's just gonna work, and it's gonna work because it's going to be the only light switch that's made is an Alexa enabled light switch. So eventually we're going to have a box, and it's might as well be made by Microsoft that does all that, and I don't know who's going to be first to figure out that they have to integrate voice command and Alexa. Does Microsoft still want to stick with Cortana, or can we actually just all say Alexa wins? We go that way. I don't know the answer, but chip shortage, everything gonna last for the rest of this decade. Call me up in 2030 and we'll be talking about the next thing. Thanks for joining us on Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. Thank you for your patronage on Patreon, and thank you if you are a YouTube subscriber, and thank both of those classes of people and everybody else for linking your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account, because that's free and we get paid, and the instructions are in the show description below. If you're doing none of those things, even if you are doing those things, follow me on Twitter at Michael Pachter. Tell me on Twitter that I guilted you into it, and I'll give you a shout out. I will see you next time. Thanks.